Hi, good morning, everybody. Joe Van Doren here, and welcome to our Virtues Pick for today. Get my microphone moved over here a little bit. So, we have a great word today, and one that I'm not sure. I think we might have had this just recently, but every time one of these words come up, a second or third time in like close together, I always think, well, ooh, boy, this is something I must really need. And so I have to say, maybe it is something I really need. And the virtue that came up today for us was self-discipline. So let's read the description and take that as you will, but I can always use a little bit more of that. So self-discipline is having the self-control to do only what we truly choose to do, rather than being blown about in the winds of our desires. Self-discipline gives us the will to persevere. It helps us to meet our goals, to be productive instead of procrastinating. It keeps us from saying or doing things we regret. We are vigilant and honest with ourselves, which frees us to live by our highest values. We are able to weed out bad habits and cultivate good ones. Self-mastery is fulfilling to our souls. So isn't that a beautiful description of self-discipline? And so as I think about this and have just read this for the first time this morning, I'm thinking about my own self-discipline and the ability to not to procrastinate, not to put things off. So I was thinking about, as I read that and thinking about procrastination, why is it that we procrastinate? And I think for myself anyway, and maybe for others too, it has a lot to do with our own fears that we have, the beliefs that we've developed through the years, the thoughts that go through our head that create those fears, and that keeps us from doing the things that we would like to do. It's very easy for us to have negative thoughts, and so when those negative thoughts come up and we're questioning our right to do something, our ability to do something, if we're good enough to do something, if we're smart enough to do something, do I have enough money to do something? It's all those things that come up for us, and so we procrastinate, and it's all because of thoughts, when in reality, if we truly believed in what we were doing, well, I don't know if I can say that. If we would think more on the positive side and see the things that we have done and know that all things are working out for the best for us, and knowing that when we put our foot out there and we start taking steps forward, that things will come together, and believing that, knowing that is true, then we can help keep ourselves from procrastinating and from and moving into directions that just are not healthy for us. So self-discipline does in fact help us to get things done. It does help us to live by our highest values, and so like this, doing the virtues every morning and making a virtues pick and using that as a place of focus is part of what I do for my own self-discipline. And if you're listening to this, then it's something, and you listen to this on a regular basis, it's something that you're doing too. I'm so happy to share that with you. And it really is the purpose of doing this, is to give us a focus, something that we can keep our mind on, so that we're not blown about by the winds, as it says here, but rather that we're focused on developing whatever that virtue was. And so all of the virtues, no matter what they are, we have them all inside of us. We know that. We've talked about that many times. We have them inside of us. Some of them are less developed than others. Some of them are underdeveloped. Some of them are overdeveloped. Whatever the case might be, our self-discipline to be focusing on them, though, helps us to choose to think about and to develop and to practice and to measure, how we're doing in those regards. And so that's why I think it's so important. It makes us bring out the best in ourselves. And when we see these virtues in others, having the self-discipline not to look at the negative things in another person or in another situation, but rather looking for those positive things helps us to bring out the best in other people as well as the best in whatever that situation might be. And so, that's the reason that we focus on a virtue every day. So think about that, as if when we do that, what we're really doing is and it's not about control, it's not about taking action, but it truly is about focus. And when we focus like this, what happens is our mind leaves those negative things, and we focus on the better things, the good things that we need. And guess what? Helps us to meet our goals. And so, that's how I'm looking at this word today, and how I'm going to be focusing on it. Doing so will help me to resist the distractions of those false negative beliefs and focus on those things that will help to cultivate my character and help me to, be the best person that I can be. So that's how I'm thinking about it. We can do the same thing with our children, and that's why we want our children to have this virtue of self-discipline fully developed, because we know as adults that self-discipline will help them to meet their goals, and it will help them to get things done, whether it's their chores at home or their homework or meeting a goal that they have in a sport or something like that. But really, what it comes down to is self-discipline is of the mind as well as the body. And so it's not just about forcing ourselves to do something, but it's about taking away the negative beliefs that we have developed over the years, even if we're very young. So, I'll just make this quick comment on this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about developing it. But I cannot even begin to describe the number of young kids, like in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade that have such anxiety. And much of it is because of negative thinking, and some of it has even been brought on by the adults in their lives, and not just their parents, but others too. And so, we want to be very, very careful that we develop beliefs about ourselves and beliefs about the positive thoughts about life itself, right? How do we do that? Well, we have to, we have to examine first, I would say. The first thing we have to do as an adult is examine our own beliefs and examine where we are on that scale, because we're going to pass those things right down to our kids. I mean, they are going to pick up on those things, and every once in a while you'll have a child who has a completely different temperament and a different way of being, and they reject those beliefs. But many times we pass our own anxieties on to our kids, right? So I would say the very first thing that we have to do as an adult is to examine ourselves and see where we are at on that scale. And then the next thing in self-discipline is just helping them to with physical things first, to make sure that they finish tasks, to help them to complete those things and describe it for them in the terms of virtues. Speak the language of the virtues by acknowledging when we see them showing self-discipline and describing it for them so that they can begin to put the dots together and create the picture of what self-discipline looks like. And of course, when we see negative thinking, we want to also describe for them other ways of looking at that situation and encouraging them to do it that way. So those are my thoughts today about self-discipline. I'm going to be focusing on it from this mental side and making sure that I stay focused on the virtues, and that's how I'll be looking at it. How will you practice self-discipline today? Is it something that you still aspire to, or is it something that you have fully developed? And if it's fully developed, then I think the next question is it overdeveloped? So are you so self-disciplined that there's no room for the other virtues of flexibility? So just a thought. So those are what I'm thinking. And so until tomorrow morning, when we do another virtues pick for the day, keep practicing the virtues and the 4 C's of successful families, and that is clarity, communication, consistency, and community. All right, everybody, until next time. Bye.